Hello and welcome. Ken Weller here. Right, let's get straight into it. There's a storm brewing on the horizon and it's rolling in right over the world of shiny electric cars. You've probably heard the whispers, the chatter down the pub and on the forums. Well, it seems the whispers are about to become a shout. The government, under Chancellor Rachel Reeves, is teeing up a brand new tax, and it's got a rather catchy, if slightly ominous name, pay per mile. It's set to be unveiled in the budget later this month, on November 26th to be precise, and it's aimed squarely at those who've been unwise enough to make the switch to electric vehicles. Now, you might be asking yourself, why now? And why us? It's a fair question. The official line, of course, is all about money. For decades, the government has been happily raking in billions from fuel duty, that hefty tax you pay on every litre of petrol and diesel. In fact, it currently brings in a staggering £24.4 billion a year, but with potentially more of us plugging our cars into the wall instead of a grubby pump, that river of cash is rapidly drying up. The Office for Budget Responsibility has done the sums and reckons we're looking at a £15.5 billion annual shortfall by the 2030s. So, this pay-per-mile scheme is their big idea to plug that enormous hole in the Treasury's finances. It's a classic government maneuver, isn't it? They see a problem, usually one of their own making, and the solution is almost always to dip their hands deeper into our pockets. The logic is simple. As petrol and diesel cars are supposed to decrease, the tax revenue from them must be replaced. They argue that all drivers should contribute to the upkeep of the roads, regardless of what powers their vehicle. On the surface, it's hard to argue with that principle. Roads need fixing, bridges need maintaining, and that all costs a pretty penny. The current system is, by its very nature, on borrowed time. So the plan is to start this new tax in 2028, by which time there could, if the net zero Nazis get their way, be as many as 6 million electric cars silently whizzing about on UK roads. They see EV drivers as a new, untapped source of revenue. It feels a bit like EV drivers have been lured into a club with the promise of free membership, only to find they're about to introduce a hefty annual subscription fee once enough of us have signed up. It's a clever bit of financial footwork. You have to give them that. But it leaves a rather sour taste in the mouth for those of us who thought we were doing the right thing for the planet and our wallets. So what's this new price of progress actually going to set us back? The numbers being thrown around suggest an initial rate of 3 pence per mile for fully electric cars, with a lower rate for hybrids. Let's crunch those numbers. The average UK driver covers about 8,900 miles a year. At 3 pence a mile, that works out to an extra bill of around £267 landing on your doormat each year. And remember, that's on top of the £195 vehicle excise duty that they already slapped on EVs back in April this year. Suddenly, the running cost savings of going electric start to look a little less impressive, don't they? The really interesting part, though, is how they plan to collect this money. For now, the government is swearing on a stack of manifestos that there will be no spy-in-the-sky black boxes or real-time GPS tracking. Instead, they're proposing a system of self-reporting. Can you believe it? They want us to estimate our annual mileage in advance, pay the DVLA up front, and then settle up the difference, either a refund or an extra payment, at the end of the year. I can already imagine the administrative chaos. It sounds like a system designed by someone who's never had to deal with a government department before. Of course, they'll need some way to check we're not all telling porkies and claiming we only drive to the local shops once a week. The plan is to use odometer readings for verification, perhaps checked during your annual MOT. It's a low-tech solution for a high-tech problem, and it feels like a temporary fix. It's hard not to be cynical and see this as just the first step. Once the principle of paying by the mile is established, how long before they decide self-reporting is too much hassle, and that a little tracking device for our convenience is the only way forward? This whole self-reporting idea feels fraught with problems. What if you change jobs and your commute suddenly gets longer? What if you have an unexpected family emergency and have to drive across the country? You'll be constantly worrying about going over your prepaid mileage, effectively rationing your own travel. It turns the freedom of the open road into a budgeted commodity. The simplicity of filling up and knowing the tax is included is gone, replaced by a system of estimates, advance payments, and end-of-year reconciliations. It's another layer of life admin none of us asked for. This is where things start to get a bit more sinister. For years, the idea of a pay-per-mile tax was dismissed as a wild conspiracy theory, something you'd read about on a fringe internet forum. Well, here we are in 2025, and it's about to become government policy. It makes you wonder what other so-called conspiracy theories are just policies in waiting, doesn't it? The big question on my mind is this. Is this really just about replacing fuel duty for EVs? Or is it the thin end of a much larger, more controlling wedge? A Trojan horse for universal road pricing for every single driver? It's impossible not to connect this to other ideas floating around, like the 15-minute city. The concept sounds lovely on paper. Everything you need within a short walk or cycle from your home. But many people see a darker side, a future where your movement is restricted and you're penalized for daring to travel outside your designated zone. A pay-per-mile system, especially one that could evolve to include tracking and variable pricing, fits into that vision perfectly. Imagine a future where it costs you more to drive at peak times or to enter certain areas. It's not just about raising tax, it's about controlling behavior. The technology for this already exists. Black boxes, GPS, automatic number plate recognition. It could all be linked together to create a system that monitors, records, and charges for every single journey you make. They could introduce congestion charges on any road they liked at the flick of a switch. They could even, and this is where it gets really dystopian, link it to some sort of social credit system. Drive too much, or to the wrong places, and you could find your travel rights or even your bank account restricted. It sounds like science fiction, but then so did pay-per-mile a decade ago. This isn't just about cars anymore. It's about personal freedom and mobility. The car has always been a symbol of liberty, the ability to go where you want, when you want. This new road pricing model, if it expands to all vehicles, fundamentally changes that relationship. It turns a right into a privilege that you have to pay for by the mile. The government insists this is just for EVs for now, but history teaches us that once a government gets a new power to tax and control, it very rarely gives it up. It almost always expands it. This is a slippery slope, and we're already halfway down it. The biggest irony in all of this is how completely it contradicts the government's own net zero agenda. For years, they've been telling us to ditch our petrol and diesel cars. They've offered grants, subsidies, and tax breaks to persuade us to buy electric. They've set an ambitious target to ban the sale of new petrol cars by 2035. And now, just as people are finally getting on board, with EV sales supposedly on the up, or so we're told, they're about to punish them for it. It's a classic case of the left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing. It's utterly farcical. The car industry and motoring groups are quite rightly up in arms. The Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, with the SMMT, has called it a strategic mistake at the wrong time. They're worried it will scare people off buying EVs, making it impossible to meet the legally binding zero-emission vehicle targets. The head of Polestar UK called the move farcical, and a huge step backwards, pointing out that fuel duty for petrol and diesel cars has been frozen since 2011. Even the AA, while admitting the tax hole needs filling, has warned the government to tread carefully to avoid creating a poll tax on wheels. So, what's my two Penn'orth on all this? Does it make any sense? Well, from a purely financial point of view for the Treasury, I can see the cold, hard logic. But from any other perspective, it's a shambles. It feels like a betrayal to every driver who is invested in an electric car, believing they were doing the right thing. It creates confusion and undermines any potential transition to a supposedly cleaner transport. It's a short-sighted cash grab that prioritizes balancing the books today, over a more diverse driving environment tomorrow. It's a policy that sows distrust and smells of control. Ultimately, they've gone about this the wrong way. A new fair system for all drivers might be needed in the long run, but singling out the early adopters of electric cars is not the way to do it. It's a penalty for what we've been encouraged to believe is progress. It's a tax on trying to do what we've been told is the right thing. And what they should be doing is creating a long-term, transparent plan that treats all drivers fairly, not just pouncing on the nearest available cash cow. But what do you think? Am I just being a cynical old git, or is this a genuine cause for concern? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you've enjoyed this, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe for more straight-talking motoring sense. Cheers.